Okay, so this is going to be a real short video. Some of the teams have had some challenges with the SAP exercise. In particular, um, we create a document, being able to go back and uh, re-access it. One of the things about, I guess, is a little challenging, especially dealing with SAP, is the fact that it is not the most intuitive interface you've ever seen. So, what will happen is uh, when you create, there's four steps. If you think about, if you kind of look at the document flow, there's four steps we're doing in this, four primary steps. All right. So we're creating five, creating a customer. All right. And we create a quotation, we create an order, we create a delivery, and then we process the invoice. All right. So those are the five, and each one of those will create a document. And each one of those documents will have a key, basically a record. It will create a record in the SAP database. Now, what you've probably have seen is the database, the message that comes back is fairly, I guess, a little, it's at the bottom of the screen. It's kind of small. You might not catch it right away. If you've actually have double clicked something, it might flash on the screen and go away. So, I guess the challenge a lot of times is trying to figure out how can I, if we've got something out there, if we're in the middle of this cycle, because if you think of this is a cycle. We go from quotation creation through invoice processing with creating documents along the way. If if you get halfway through and you can't remember, for example, what the order number was or what the quotation number was, um, you know, you might feel like you're lost and you can't find out you can't figure out where you're at. So one of the tricks that SAP has put into their system is they've actually got some functionality. But as I said, the thing about SAP is that's actually, it's a pretty complicated beast if you haven't figured that out yet. Um, so what they've actually have done is they've actually have added, there's some functionality that's in the system. I'm going to show you here, uh, where you can find all of these documents, or basically get a history of all the stuff or where you're at in the process. All right. So what we'll do is we'll here's the scenario. Here's a scenario. We've created an order, quotation and order. All right, but we can't find out. We don't know what the order number is. We forgot what the order number is, or it hasn't been marked down. All right. So what we'll do is let's go to our order. We'll go to order display. All right. Now we have an order number here, but then we also have a couple different um, we have a couple different um, search criteria here. All right. So obviously, so the way this will work is if you know what the sold to, actually, if you know the customer you sold it to, you can put the customer number in and do a search, and it'll give you a list of all of the orders that have the customer number in it. All right. Or if you know what the delivery number is, you can put the delivery number in, do a search, and it'll give you a list of all of the orders that are associated with that delivery. Or if you've created an invoice, you can do enter the invoice number, the billing document number, do a search, and it'll come back with the same thing. We're going to use, for example, here we're going to use the purchase order number, because if you recall, one of the things we have is we enter a purchase order number. All right, so the purchase order number is one of the steps we've entered, and then it's actually your team number. All right, so let's use 227 as our purchase order number. All right, I'll do a search. And what you'll see is it'll come back with a screen here, and what it'll show is we have two purchase orders, or we have two orders that are associated with purchase order 227. Right. So what you'll see a almost created by um, team 227, the other one by team 223. All right. So let's go to the one for 227. Just double click on it or click, highlight it and click the green arrow. So here's our order. All right. Standard order 11. Our bikes, the whole bit. All right. So this gives us the ability to search, basically to do a lookup of the order. So if we were in the middle of a process, in the middle of a process, once again, this can be considered, the execution of an order, the order execution, and this is the order to cash process, which is made up of multiple steps which generate multiple documents. All right, so we've got this information here. Actually, if you go to the bottom of the screen, you'll say consider the message at the bottom of the screen. Say consider the subsequent documents. Just double click that. Subsequent documents already exist for this document. Right, we'll find further information in the subsequent document, their creation date, and their processing status by branching into the document flow. To reach the document flow, select environment, document flow. All right, or if you look at the top of the screen here, there's actually a F5, or if you click this, display document flow. So a document flow actually gives you a list of everything that's out there for that particular, everything in that sequence. So not just the order, but the quotation and the delivery documents and all that fun stuff. So if I click that, what you'll see is we have our initial inquiry. We have our quotation. All right, 925. So this has the appearance of an order. I think this was an order that was created. We couldn't find it. I think we created a new one, or we assigned a new number and kind of worked our way through it. But the original order was still out there. Okay. And we have our delivery. So the delivery, and you'll see the status. So complete, complete, complete. And the outbound delivery is still open. So if I double click on this, all right, we have our delivery. And if I double click on this, okay, what you'll see is the other thing you'll see in this, when you look at delivery in this document flow, it'll show you the preceding document. So each one of these things are tied together. All right. So the inquiry, the quotation, the order, and the delivery are actually internally inside the system are tied together. So what you would need to do is just go back and go to identify any of the documents you've created: inquiry, quotation, order, delivery, any of those, and do a lookup by sold to, which is the customer, sold to, or purchase order number, or any of those items that you would have. Go to the document flow, which is, go back one more, display document flow, which will give us all of the information we would need. All right, so hopefully that would, if you're hung up, actually what you can submit, because you can either create, give a screenshot of the individual items, or when you're completed, go to the document flow, create the, look at the order, go to the document flow, and just get a screenshot of this. And I think that'll, we can wrap everything up on that. Okay, so I hope that helps if you're still wrestling with stuff.